Okay. So we were talking a little bit about representation and the challenges with how to count slaves in the population. So I was kind of addressing how it is a slippery slope to count slaves. And the North, if the North or the northern states, which tended to not support slavery, if they say that slaves are people, if they're going to make that argument, then it would therefore make sense for those same northern states to say, yeah, well, then you should count the slaves as part of the general population. And remember, that's an issue if these northern states are concerned about southern states then having more say in Congress. So hopefully you understand that challenge. Ultimately, what results? So it is decided that slaves will be counted as 3/5 of a person, and this is called the 3/5 compromise. And again, it's important because it determines how many representatives a state gets to the House of Representatives in Congress. So 3/5 is what was settled on. Lastly, let's talk about ratification. So it's not just enough to actually write the Constitution. It had to be ratified, which meant that the states had to sign off on it to say that they would agree to abide by these rules. And that meant that the Constitution had to go from state to state and actually receive a vote. Now, it's not a popular vote, meaning it's not the people who are actually voting, but it is the state legislatures in each of those states that would vote yay or nay. So that becomes a bit challenging. And one of the concerns that is voiced by folks pretty early on is that the Constitution doesn't really talk about rights that are retained by the people, meaning what you today know as your Bill of Rights. But those are also called civil liberties. The Constitution didn't have a lot of areas that covered civil liberties in the text of the document. It certainly didn't speak to what government couldn't do. It speaks to what government can do. And part of that's because the assumption was, well, this is what it can do. And if it's not here, then government can't do it. So some people argue, listen, we have to have some Bill of Rights. We have to have something on here that really specifically lines out some things that government can't do. And so that idea is floated out. And what James Madison says is, listen, if you come to try to agree and vote to ratify the Constitution, then I will work to write a Bill of Rights that will appease you to make you happy. And we'll add that to the Constitution eventually, once we can all agree about each of these rights. And so that debate kind of hangs out there as states decide to ratify or not. We'll talk more about ratification on Monday, and then some of the arguments that are made as to why the Constitution shouldn't be ratified. So that's all that you have for the screencasted video lecture. The next thing that you're going to work on is highlighting the Constitution, and you're going to highlight it in the same manner that you did the Articles of Confederation. So go pull out your Articles of Confederation to review what 3 colors you used on that highlighting activity earlier in the week. And if you have any questions, let me know. I will see you on Monday.